This is UA Light with your full moon psychic astrology message. This is an incredibly auspicious time, everyone. And while most people may tell you to be particularly cautious this full moon and to expect all the shadow aspects like car accidents, fires, explosions, explosive arguments, etc., because the full moon is conjunct Mars retrograde, I'm here to give you a more holistic picture that includes some UA light insight on the magic potential of this full moon related to deep mystical teachings of the astrology. So if you look here, there are actually a number of key mystical points that make this a potent moment for magic and for influencing outcomes in your favor, while we are still within this larger portal of closure, rebirth, and ascension until May. And this was initiated by the Scorpio new moon and the Taurus full moon eclipses a month ago. This is particularly relevant because on this December 7th full moon in Gemini, it is conjunct Mars retrograde and Mars station retrograde on October 30th, immediately after and in sync with that Scorpio new moon eclipse. So if you look at my previous eclipse season overview, I mentioned that Scorpio season's eclipses were particularly powerful portals of closure, rebirth, and ascension for the next 6 months, right? A potent time for initiating incredible multi-dimensional changes and quantum leaps in your lives. And so, because Mars retrograde began in sync with the new moon eclipse, working with the medicine and the lessons of Mars retrograde in Gemini, especially during this full moon portal, can be very powerful and positive. And additional supporting astrology suggests this as well. So, what are the medicinal dark and light lessons and sort of energetic manifestations of Mars retrograde in Gemini? Mars in Gemini in general is about fighting with your words, facts, and using logic, knowledge, and evidence to your advantage to resolve conflict, and even to put you 10 steps ahead. The shadow aspect of this, of course, is putting your foot in your mouth, starting wars with your words, igniting protests, or even being in protest. And we have certainly seen all of those things playing out in politics and even in pop culture, hint, hint, Kanye West, and more, even in terms of economic news, right? Big businesses being in trouble. The eclipse season Gemini psychic horoscope message that I did for the next 6 months is incredibly accurate and relevant for the entire collective right now related to this full moon. I have it linked below for you to check out. But one of the things that I mentioned for Geminis that applies to the collective for this full moon message is related to those light aspects that I just mentioned. To be solution-oriented and well-researched, to navigate contracts and relationships in your best interest and in the interest of your long-term goals. That is the advice. Even if you find yourself in the midst of situations that are tense, full of angst, or that could jeopardize your livelihood in any way. And there's much more in that message, so definitely check it out. But ultimately, with the full moon conjunct Mars in retrograde, it means there is a spotlight on these themes and lessons, and they will be emphasized and most likely manifest in your life circumstances and situations right now. But ultimately, there will be an opportunity for you to master the light aspects of Mars retrograde and to use logic and facts to argue your case. Even more magical is the aligned mystical teachings of the degree for this full moon. The mystical teachings of the 16th degree in Gemini is all about rational persuasion, using your maturity and your well-reasoned arguments and facts to argue your case and persuade others to understand your point of view and give you what you want versus simply acting off of impulsive, lower based emotions like anger, fear, victimhood, or anything else alone. Mars retrograde already means to restrain those sort of impulses. And so because this is also the teaching of the degree, and it's also aligned close to two fixed stars related to how our emotional intelligence can influence our fates, actually in a positive way, it is all a sign that this is a positive time for negotiating multi-dimensional contracts in your favor. At this time, you may find yourselves in circumstances related to court, rent, asset, business, PR, and intimate relationship negotiations and proceedings, where you may feel emotional, but where if you use your spiritual self-mastery, trust in the divine, and simply look at the facts and use deep analytical knowledge versus taking things at face value, you will actually most likely find details and facts that actually support your case and ultimately your immediate interests and highest outcome. The 1111 frequency, Neptune being direct and in a square with Venus while it is visible right now, additionally suggests that the divine is in the midst to offer some relief, cooperation, and blessings in your personal circumstances related to well-being, finances, assets, creative and spiritual projects and businesses, and relationships right now. You have an ability to tap into a higher frequency and maintain it if you choose. Psychically, I'm also feeling that there's a huge wave of nostalgia, regret, remorse right now, where people are rethinking their actions and weighing options related to the right actions to take for reconciliations and cooperation in love and business as well. So it may very well be a time where you feel telepathic communication or receive messages from people, or even feel compelled to initiate those kinds of communications as well. This is also a powerful time to cut multidimensional cords, spiritual cords, connections, and all sorts of things that are not in your highest good and that do not belong in your highest destiny timeline that you're about to quantum leap into, right? So overall, use your words wisely, use music, candle magic, and prayer to stay aligned, and do your spiritual cleansing at this time, okay? So please hit that subscribe plus a like button at this time. Look at your linked horoscopes for personal astrology and psychic insight that is super relevant for you right now, related to your sun, rising, and moon sign. And I wish you all well and hope your December and rest of the year is filled with much love and light. Signed, UA Light. Take good care of your hearts.